all for coming tonight. What an incredible crowd. This is fantastic. I just want to say from the beginning, I want to thank Councilman Fannin. You know, I know for a fact, this is a bipartisan crowd that we have in here. But I can't help, this is a bipartisan crowd that we have in here. But I cannot help but point out that I don't know when we've had this many Republicans under one roof in Alexandria, Virginia. The one exception I can think of is a Fannin family reunion, but that's the only one. And note to self, let me just remind myself, put Alicia Hughes further up on the speakers category because she is hard to follow. I tell you what, I spent 24 years in the Army. I retired last November, and I'm listening to her. I'm ready to go sign up again. Give me an M16 and send me out there.
Not until you get elected.
Listen, I just want to acknowledge once again our host committee. One more individual, one of my oldest friends, Rick Ebry, is part of the host committee. We're going on 30 years we've known each other. And I have another, who was that? Outstanding. We're going to try to get rid of the debt before you can drive. Friend that goes back to when we were knee-high to grasshoppers back in Oklahoma, and I don't know where he is, but Kendall Story. Kendall, way back in the back, surprised me coming in. He's an oil man from Dallas, Texas. So when you talk to Kendall and Rick, if they want to tell you stories about me, just ignore them. Listen, thank you all for coming out tonight. I feel a lot of energy in here, and it's not about me, it's not about this candidacy, it's about what's going on in the United States of America. This is a unique year. This is a very important election. Now, how many of you heard before, oh, this is the most important election of our lifetimes? But I don't believe the stakes have ever been higher than they are right now. And when you look at the bidding, and I am an optimistic man, but when I look at what's going on in the world, you know, we had a presidential speech last night. We just rolled our last line combat troops out of Iraq. And we are now up to about 120,000 troops in Afghanistan. But we've told our adversaries that we're going to leave next year. And that's a concern for me. You don't do that. You don't signal what's going to happen. And I learned that in the military. I learned that as an exchange officer in the State Department. And by the way, Jackie, are you here tonight? Jackie Walcott, Ambassador Walcott, is right here. If I told you what she does, I'd have to put all of your heads in a safe, so I can't do that. But I want to thank Jackie for coming. And is Randy and Tim here?
They are. They're right here.
All right. Randy and Tim. Randy is Jackie's niece. Tim is a Air Force NCO. Tim was over in Afghanistan, was just wounded. He has been back at Walter Reed, and I'd like for you all to give one of our warriors a hand. The sacrifice that our service members and their families make is something that we need to keep in the forefront of our minds, because that is why we are the greatest country in the history of the world. So thank you all. And can I get a show of hands of the other veterans in the house? Look at that. So we have, Alicia mentioned, $13 trillion of debt. $13 trillion. We're just adding another $1.75 trillion on to just round it out for the current deficit and the current budget deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, we are spending ourselves into a ditch that unless we change things this year, we are not going to get out of that. Our greatest generation in America is always, most important generation is always the next generation. And throughout our history as a country, the next generation has always stood on the shoulders of the generations prior to them. this will be the first generation that does not happen if we don't make some changes in 2010. Now, my opponent is the poster child. He has never seen a spending bill that he did not like, with the possible exception of when we need to fund our soldiers, our service members in Afghanistan. He just voted against funding the war bill in Afghanistan. He's voted, when I was over in Iraq in 2007, he voted against that bill. Consider for a second, if he would have been successful, what does that mean for the 120,000 troops deployed in Afghanistan? Now, at the same time, not long after that, he voted for one of 15 congressmen to vote for a pay raise for himself. So I just want to juxtapose those two things, a pay raise for himself, but no support for the troops, but he's happy to get also into your pocket quite a bit. Now, some of you may have gotten this. I got this in the mail the other day. How many of y'all recognize this? I got this in the mail. I thought it was one of those quarterly financial reports, like from Goldman Sachs or something, that had been mistakenly put in my mailbox. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is from Jim Moran, and most of you got it. Now, it's 16 pages long of beautiful color pictures telling you everything he's done, all the great things about healthcare. We'll talk about that in a second. But the most important piece, the most important sentence, I think, in the whole thing, on page 16, it says, "This mailing was prepared, published, and mailed at taxpayer expense." You sure did, John. Everybody else did too. Look, in the middle, when we are in the throes of a recession, when we have almost 10% national unemployment, $13 trillion of debt, Jim thought it was a good idea to spend, and we ran the numbers on this, $1 million. We're calling it the $1 million mailer, and you all paid for it. So I hope you enjoy it. That is Jim Moran's $1 million mailer. And the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is out of touch. He takes your votes for granted. Who else would do something like that? The other night he was on MSNBC, and he said, "I don't know why everybody's so upset. The recession is over." Well, I don't think the recession is over, Jim. Not on this planet. And the reason it's not over is because we are passing legislation, Congress is passing legislation that is putting us further and further into a ditch, further and further away from what our principles, our American principles are, and from what our Constitution, our Founding Fathers meant. When you look at the health care bill, of which he is very proud, have I got some small business owners in the House? I've been talking to a lot of small business owners. I've been talking to small business owners, and their health care costs are already going up. And who knows about the 1099 thing in the small business? Kendall raised his hand back there. 1099s. The only good that comes out of the 1099s is right now the IRS is hiring 16,000 new agents in order to cover the 1099s. That's not my idea of getting rid of unemployment. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a better way. Jim Moran is the most hyper-partisan person in the United States Congress. He spends your taxpayer money at will, and it is time that we retire Jim Moran. Jim Moran's been in office 20 years. He has a favorable district, and people say to me, and we spend a lot of time. We are up at metro stations at 7 in the morning. In fact, tomorrow, if anybody's at Braddock Road Metro Station, I'll be out there with my team at 7 in the morning, shaking hands, talking to people. That's how I learn. I'm not a politician. I'm a retired Army guy, and I learn about your issues, your concerns throughout this district. We did it starting in the primary, and we're doing it now, and we're working as hard as we can. And when I'm out talking to people about what's going on, That's how we learn about these issues. And we learned that it is the last thing that they want is more spending and turning our backs on our troops and everything else. So we are focused hard on that. But people say to me, well, Patrick, Jim Moran's going to win. You can't win this race.
Oh, yes, you can.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can win this race.
Yes.
But I need your support. There is no act too small. Come in here and stuff envelopes, make phone calls, walk with us. I need your contributions. I need your support. I need you to call your friends. I need you to email your friends. I need you to be creative and think about everything you can do. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run the numbers. We have run the numbers. This is a unique year. There is nobody above us on the ballot. Jim Moran has to get out his own vote. There's no President Obama. There's no Craig Deeds. There's no senators. There's nobody. And when you look at the numbers, we can win this race.
Yes. We will.
But I need your support. I need your help. You all you're here tonight. This is an incredible crowd. I'm honored by your presence. Again, this is not about me. This is about the United States of America. This is about turning this country around, and this is about supporting and defending the Constitution, not ignoring and supplanting the Constitution. And I promise you, as your representative, I will support and defend the Constitution, and I will never not vote to fund our troops who are in harm's way. So let me just wrap up. The vote is November the 2nd, 62 days away. That is a short 2 months. I need every single one of you. I need your contributions. I need your support. Come in here to the office, sign up on the website. We have a great time in here. Come out and knock doors with us. This is an important election. The stakes have never been higher. We can do this. We can win this race together. Thank you all. God bless the United States. God bless every one of you all. Have a great night. Thank you.